Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Two Chicks in a Horror Flick. I am Felicia Connor, and this is the beautiful and wonderful
Tawny Ray. Hello and welcome back.
We are so excited, and today we will be talking about Stir of Echoes. We watch so many movies every week. I'm like, wait a second, which movie
Which
is
one?
this? It is Stir of Echoes, and Tawny did all of the research and fun facts for the movie, so we are really excited to get into it. Just as a reminder, I know you're probably sick of us saying this, but just in case you're just jumping into this episode for the first time, it is a spoiler alert. We like to share everything and anything that we want to. So if you haven't seen it, we highly suggest you go and watch it and then come back, unless you don't mind all the movie being ruined.
Being spoiled.
Spoiled, yeah. All right.
So I don't know if this counts, but what I'm drinking today is some coconut water. I'm recovering from drinking a little bit yesterday, so that's what I got going on.
I love coconut water. I love it.
Me too.
So what I'm drinking, people are gonna, but I really like it, so this might make people hate me too. It is Beck's, but it's a non-alcoholic Beck's.
I've been wondering about how those are. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. I tried, I went to Total Wine, and they have single beers for like 99 cents. So you can try all these different beers and all these non-alcoholic beers. I really like the Beck's and the Heineken, non-alcoholic as well. It tastes like the beer. And to prove it, my husband loves beer, loves whiskey. And he tried both of those. And he's like, oh, it tastes like a Beck's, or it tastes like a Heineken, but with no alcohol. And then they have some that are like really, like they get crazy with the flavors that they put in these non-alcoholic drinks. But then I found some that are really good. I found one, it's called, it has like this, like Julius Caesar on the front of it or something, but it tastes exactly like a Blue Moon or a Shock Top. It's so good.
I really like Blue Moon and Shock Top, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Will send me the name of that or something.
Oh, yes. I actually have it, and it is called, it's this pretty blue can, and it's called Ceria, Ceria. Maybe it's Cheeria. Look, that's what it looks like, guys. For those on YouTube, you just got a snapshot of it. It's Belgian-style hops. Yeah, it's super good.
Yum.
There she is.
Okay, sorry, y'all. We had to take a dog intermission so I could let my little pup in here. Anyway, okay.
All right, let's talk about this movie.
Let's talk about it. Do we want to do the little quick synopsis first?
Yes, we do.
Okay. This is from Google. I should have pre-read this, but we're winging it here. So Stir of Echoes from 1999. Let me pull up my little IMDb thing. We got this as we already talked about this, but just in case you're getting into just this episode, this was a recommendation from Kara from our Facebook group.
Yes.
And so we are excited. I've heard a lot about this movie in a lot of different places. And so I was glad to finally watch it, to kind of finally know what people were talking about. So the director is David Koepp, I think is how you say it. Koepp. And the writers, it's also David Koepp, but it's based on a book, and the writer of the book is Richard Matheson, it looks like. So it's got Kevin Bacon, Zachary David Koepp, and Catherine Erb as our main cast. Yeah. I might have butchered some of those names, but we're just going to keep going. And so let's see. Here's the little blurb. Blue-collar family man Tom Witzke, which is Kevin Bacon, scoffs at supernatural phenomena until he lets his wife's sister, Lisa, put him into a hypnotic trance. Upon waking, Tom realizes he has a psychic connection with his son, Jake. He also has alarming hallucinations of a missing teenage neighbor named Samantha. Tom, convinced his visions will lead him to the girl, begins a desperate search that puts him into a life-threatening situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, Felicia, what did you think about this movie?
I loved this movie. I loved this movie. First things first, I loved how the characters, with exception of just maybe like a couple little things that were not a big deal, I like how they reacted real. Like I believed their reactions to the different things. There wasn't a point where I was like, are you kidding me? You wouldn't do that. So I really like that. There was the only time was when the little boy, in the scene where the little boy is in the room and he's playing, and the parents are trying to get him to talk about the girl because he had recommended the babysitter and he had said Samantha told me about her, and they were trying to get him to talk about it, and then he became not possessed, but she spoke through him. The spirit spoke through little boy and said,
Oh
ask
yeah,
me
yeah.
a question. Don't talk to him, ask me. And then they didn't. That kind of drove me nuts, but I understand why they were like, what the, oh,
Yeah.
like, I can't take this right now. But I kept going, ask her. You want to know the answer, ask her. But I mean, that wasn't completely unbelievable, but I really like that, how the characters were believable and in all their situations. I loved the story. I thought it was so cool that that girl looking for, you know, her murder to be found and her body to be found. And I loved the end. I don't know. There was just something so, especially because in the movie, you know, for everybody listening, here we go. When she was going to be raped and she was murdered by those boys, right? That was really heavy and hard to watch. And I'm super glad that it didn't go like, you know, too into it. And at the end, where she had her jacket and she was released from that wall, I don't know. I probably sound so corny. I loved it. And my teens, all of them, all three of them watched this movie with me, and they all were like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I loved this
Cute.
movie.
I did too. Honestly, I really was like, I thought it could have been a disaster solely based on the trailer. Like the
Yes.
trailer, did you watch the trailer? It
Yes.
is so bad. It
It's
is so bad. I'm like, how did they take these clips? Because I mean, we watched the trailer before we watched the movie, and we were like,
Mhm.
oh no, like this is gonna be so bad. Like it's like they purposefully took the two worst lines of Kevin Bacon the entire movie and like cut it so out of context that it was like shockingly bad. Like when he was like, do me. You know,
With
like
that accent, which totally worked in the movie. Like in the movie, it was fine, but that he seemed so corny and like, yeah, do me. And like, I totally agree.
what was the other one too? The other line was like when he was talking to the kid and he was like, I don't remember, but it was something crazy where he was like he was like way over animated. Like he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like,
I had hope, a little bit of hope, because Kara really liked it. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's good. But that trailer, I showed my
so
kids
bad.
that trailer and they're like, oh, this is what we're watching. But they loved it.
It was good. Like the trailer really betrayed the movie. The movie was like very well put together. I felt like, and had a nice story, and it made I felt myself feeling nostalgia for this movie that I have never watched. Like I was like,
Yes.
it felt like it's weird. It's like I feel like I had watched enough movies that felt like that movie felt, that it gave me the feeling of nostalgia in a way, you
Yes, I
know?
totally know what you're talking about. I felt the same way.
Yeah, it was really good. I did like um the the story of it, but I also liked how, I don't know what the right word for this would be, but I do feel like there were like subtle moments that it just, there wasn't anything like super over the top to me. And I really liked that.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, like you've got the scenes that he's sort of like seeing, and by the end of the movie you realize he's seeing those scenes through the lens of the teenager who died in the house, right? So you're like the broken fingernail, which is ugh,
So
so cringy.
that was the only, but I mean, that it wasn't a bad part of the movie, but all of us were like disgusted with, I don't like things going on with nails. It creeps me out. That was
Yeah.
nasty. And her tooth, the tooth.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
the
But
tooth.
The nail was the worst. Ugh.
Yeah. And what else? Let's see. That the first jump scare where he's on the couch and he like leans back and she's on the couch,
Yeah.
that really got my ass. I think I was telling you in the last one. I'm not a big jumper, but that one shocked me genuinely. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it, and so that was a nice little like jump scare to start off with. But I, we, and again, this is something else we've talked about. I like the slow descent into like sort of madness. And this movie had that for me. Like, the Tom, he's like, starts off and he's like, it just gets progressively crazier. And then, his wife comes home and he's like out there digging in the back of the yard.
Oh
Like,
my.
and I was like, oh my God, this is like,
I loved that. And that little boy was such a good actor. And
he was.
and then she's like, what are you doing? He's digging. Oh my gosh. That digging, that was great. So even when the scene where she pulls up in the car and she honks and he's supposed to come out, she's like not taking no for an answer. She went to the funeral and she's like, I'm going to pick you up. He's like, no, no, no. Cause he destroyed that house.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But she pulls up, she honks. She goes to get out. This is just another example of I love the reactions. She goes to get out. All the lights turn off. So she pauses, goes back to the car, gets a knife, and people might be like, well, why would you go in at all? Because you would never imagine your neighbors are in there to kill your husband. What she's thinking is her husband has gone nuts. You know what I mean? Because he was acting nuts before she left. So she got the knife just in case, but she's assuming fully to go in there and have her nut whacked out husband and not,
Right.
the situation that was there. So I believed that she went into the house, and you know what I mean? Like I didn't think that was far-fetched.
You know what other reaction I liked too from the little boy is when they are talking like about what's happening and they're trying to and he's trying to get him to talk and they bring him down into the living room. So they're trying to get him to talk about seeing Samantha or whatever. And he's like just sitting there and Tom, Kevin Bacon, is flipping out kind of, and he's like losing it. And then the little boy is just like, I don't want to talk about this because it's scaring mommy. Like, I was like, oh shit. And then it makes sense for the rest of the movie now why she's like, they go and they huddle off and they talk about like this. They have like a little club about this and they won't tell me what's going on. It made perfect sense. And as a child, I just felt like that was such a child reaction. So, you know what I mean? Like he was like,
Yeah.
I'm freaking everybody out. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that was great. And I feel like,
Yeah.
again, he acted well. He was a good child actor. And I totally bought that scene. And then let's see, what else?
I thought really great reactions when that babysitter took the kid, and they were like, that whole scene when they were yelling at her and like she took our kid and like all of that. I thought that was really great reactions. And there was something else you're talking about. The one thing, but it might just be what I think I would do. When that guy told her to send her husband to go see him in that scary place. And then, first of all, that she's walking down the alley and stuff like that. It wasn't clear that that's where she was supposed to go, but maybe she was like super tough chick and was going to do it. But I feel like I would send my husband there. Like, I don't know why she went, because he is flipping out. He has all these questions. So why not give him the information and have him go? Because what are you hoping to gain? You're going to go there. The guy's going to tell you something. And then what are you going to do? You're going to go back and tell your husband. He's going to be like, what are you talking about? I just felt like she should have sent him and it could have answered some stuff for him, but I don't know.
I guess I get why she did that though, because do you remember her friend was like, you have to hold this family together. Like she kind of like gave her this weird pep talk that was like, it was like intended to be positive, but I feel like it just ended up being like, you're responsible for this thing that you don't even know what's happening and you're not even in control of, and you need to hold this family together. So that's why I thought, oh shit, that makes total sense why she's going and doing this by herself, because now she feels a weird obligation just because of the suggestion that her friend made, which I thought was very real. Like, I felt like that was a very natural thing. But what I didn't understand is why she didn't then tell him about it afterwards. Like, I was
Yes,
like, why wouldn't you say something? Like, I feel like that was good information, you know?
exactly. So it was like that whole scene, the only point of that scene was to give us, the viewers, information. Because if that was the case, yes, and she did something with that, she went and, I don't know, did something for her family to help the situation. That's not what happened though. She went and it was business as usual. He was pissing her off. She was confused, so it was literally like they just did that so that we would have the information we needed about, you know, the
So that we could
ghost and
put it
stuff. Yeah.
together. Yeah. But I
Which
didn't, yeah,
honestly, I don't even know if we needed that. Because
I
all
don't
he
either.
said was the ghost is getting angry because he's not doing anything. But did the ghost really get angry? Like, if you didn't have that scene at all with that guy, if that guy didn't exist even actually, because he never came back into the movie, we still understood the ghost wanted to tell Kevin Bacon something, Tom something, and everything got increasingly more intense until he discovered it.
You're right. Like, you get that from the moment that you first see her, that he has the hallucination of her, and she's like, "You can see me." That's the only thing she says is, "You can see me," for like a split second. And so you get all of what's happening. You're like,
Hmm.
"There's a ghost in this house. She was wronged, probably. She's trying to make contact," because like that's just the ghost thing. Like, you just know if you're watching a movie about a ghost, 9 times out of 10, they want to tell you how they were killed so that you can solve the thing. Like, they can like
Yeah, and her
be put to
sister just
rest.
said, the little boy said that he saw Samantha. She's missing. Okay, so we get something bad happened to that. We literally didn't need that whole scene. It was almost like that scene was just in case anybody's still confused about what's going on. Let's add this guy.
Yes. And there's a sequel. So like, I think there also was
Mm.
probably just like in Poltergeist, where we had talked about, they were like, oh, there's a specific dark thing that is supposed to come up later in the movies. I feel like that was this too. Like, they were like setting it up to maybe have, some sort of string to pull into the sequel.
Mm.
Um, but I was, that part was weird, and I kept expecting him to come back.
And
Like
help.
I kept,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, something's gonna happen. We're not gonna just leave this alone. So that part was weird. Also, let me just say, as one of the only negative things about this movie, that was not believable to me. I was like, who are these motherfuckers out here? These adult ass people having parties
I am so
every
glad.
day. I'm like, first they're at like a college kegger or something at first, and I'm like, and the very first party, I'm like, hold on. Was being an adult in the 90s different than what it is today? Because like that, I mean, maybe you go to a house party as an adult every like 10 years. Like, I just was like, I'm not buying it. And they're like all acting like college students. And then like there was like 2 more parties after that. I'm like, what are these
Yeah.
people doing? And there's like a block party. I'm like,
Dude, I am so glad you said that. This is what I was going to say next. So I'm so glad you said this. I was saying to the kids, where do they live? Is this like a real neighborhood? Like in Chicago? And maybe someone from Chicago is listening and they could say, yes, in certain neighborhoods, it's legit block party every night. And then they walk to like some club or it's going to be a concert. It's where he went right before he stepped into the whatever it was, an arena, whatever it was. He then ran home because he had a premonition that that girl was taking his son. Um, he was able to run home. Like, where do they live? Like, here's a concert venue right here. Here's a block party. Here's a kegger.
it was crazy, right? Like, I was just like, no way. No way. And all of the parties felt very juvenile. I think they're going to a high school football game when they're trying to get into the, I
Oh, and
think,
there's tons of, yeah, because there were young people, but there was also older people. There's just like, not that older people don't go to the football game, but everyone's just partying and doing drugs, and it's like the whole
right.
street.
It was too much. I was like, okay, I don't think so. That's the most unbelievable part of this movie for me, is just that no
I
adult
agree.
is partying every other night, okay? Ain't nobody got time for that.
But maybe someone from Chicago can let us know if that's truly like some, or anywhere, I guess. This movie was in Chicago. That's the only reason I'm saying Chicago.
Yeah, it looks very I mean, they do kind of set up the tone that you're in a neighborhood where everything is so close together. I don't know what those are called, but they're like the long, tall, skinny, touching houses kind of almost, or they're like
Mm-hmm.
really close to touching. And so I did get the sense that it's like, okay, it's out east somewhere where everybody's kind of packed in and you probably can walk to a bunch of different things. But I just was like, this is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like it was almost written to be like teenagers, but then like last minute they decided like, oh no, we should have them be adults, but they didn't like change anything. So it was like parties, high school football game, block party. Like it was just like weird. But
I
that was like
agree.
my only. It wasn't like a complaint, but that was the only thing that I was like, what is happening here? Like I do not understand.
I totally agree. We all
Yeah,
were like, where is this neighborhood?
I want to go there. Invite
Where
me
parents and teenagers are all drinking and partying on the same level
together. Yeah.
together.
Um. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. This was a weird one because I ended up watching it like last week, and I feel like the week was so long now. I'm like, I feel like I kind of forgot parts of it. Oh, let me say the last shot of her body in the wall was terrifying. I was like, that is so gross and realistic looking. And if I had seen that as a kid when I was younger, that shit would haunt me. I could see why there are moments in this movie that stick in people's heads for the rest of their lives when they've seen it as a kid. The fingernail, the like body in the wall, and the what else? Like her on the couch is shocking. I liked the voice thing. I thought that was kind of nice. The little boy, it was kind of quick and subtle
Yeah.
and weird and creepy. The other thing that I really liked for some reason was when he saw the babysitter and everything went red and it
Yeah.
was like meh meh and he kept getting that, like warning thing. It was so weird because it was like so simple. It was such a simple effect, but it really worked, I feel like, for me. It didn't feel cheesy for some reason. I
Mm-mm.
feel like in other places, if I had seen it, I would have been like, this is dumb. But like, I really liked it.
I liked it too. I was saying that they did a really good job of, I kept thinking, wow, my gosh, this would suck. This would suck if you constantly were seeing that red light or you were having these nightmares when you went to sleep. Like it was so real enough that I started to feel like, oh my gosh, this is horrible for him. Like this is just, yeah, I loved that. I loved that red. I loved how he could see the future and I wasn't sure what was happening until after. That was super cool. Like when his friend came in and when he went upstairs, got his boots, went upstairs, saw the note, came back downstairs, and his friend was there, and he's like, "They're gonna kill you guys." And then he goes and sits on the steps, and he's like, "Why would you say that?" And he's like, "This neighborhood, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What?" And then Kevin Bacon walks down the street. That was a moment I was like, well, that's so stupid. Go back and say, what the hell are you talking about? But because it was a dream or it was a premonition, like it was so cool. I love that. And I did want to say this. I loved that meditation or the hypnosis
Hmm.
where she guided him and the way they set that up, because that's exactly what happens. I do guided meditations all the time. And so they're like, imagine you're in a beach, you picture a beach, and then they add an element and then everything changes to fit that element that the person told you. I loved how they did that scene.
I did too. That was very good. I was like, as soon as that started happening, like, I was like, damn, we're in for a much better ride than I thought we were going to be. Like, and
Yeah.
it's changing everything to be what it is. Let me pull up this thing. Hold on. I actually have a little tidbit about that just while we're talking about it. Okay, the hypnosis sequence in which Tom is hypnotized for the first time follows actual hypnosis techniques used by professional hypnotists in order to ensure that the audience hasn't been put to sleep. And then in parentheses, it says, and some susceptible people have been. There's a musical accent at the close of the sequence to wake everybody up, which I found really interesting.
Do you mean like
And it
during the
did.
movie? Like us
Mhm,
watching the movie?
mhm.
Oh, people got hypnotized watching that scene?
It sounds like it. It says in
Whoa.
parentheses, some susceptible people have been hypnotized. Like, and so I
Well,
imagine I don't know what that looks like. Like, I don't know if it's just a super relaxed state or whatever, but they had to do that musical, cue at the
that's
end.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. And it just was like super, I don't know. It wasn't cheesy. I
No.
felt like it was very
That's a good. Oh, you know what? In the trailer, they have the walls turning black of the movie theater, and I thought that looked so cheesy in the trailer. I'm like,
yeah.
what? The walls are turning black, but it was in that guided meditation, so it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, there's like a reason for it. She's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
imagine everything's black and you can only see the screen." Yeah, I don't know how they made such a bad trailer. I know we've already talked about this, but it's
Yeah.
like it almost was an art form how much they took shit out of context and like twisted it into the worst trailer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was shocked about that. But yeah, it was great. And
The worst
there's just
trailer, this is a total side note, but the worst trailer, if you want to see the worst, watch the one for The Reef. My
the
littlest one is
reef.
wildly into shark movies, and I watch shark movies with her all the time. The most ridiculous shark movies and some good ones like The Meg. But The Reef, she's 6. She'll be like, "Oh, mom, this is that really stupid commercial." It's so great. It's just people on a boat, people swimming, they're scuba diving. It's over. That's it. There's not
What?
even a shark in the thing. It's so stupid. So I said, let's watch it, honey. Let's watch The Reef. Let's see. Maybe it gets good. We watched I think 45 minutes of it, and it was like pretty much the same thing. So we turned it
Oh,
off.
wow.
But anyway,
Interesting.
I digress. Yes, this trailer was garbage.
So bad. And really did not do the movie justice. Yeah, but I liked it, and I really liked that scene too, where his neighbor comes in and he's like, it's all like disconnected, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? He's like, they're gonna kill you and Maggie, and you're like, as the viewer, you're like, what is he talking about? He's like, this used to be a good neighborhood. I really liked that. It was very creepy. I like shit. One of my favorite things is if something's happening. I can't remember if I've said this so far, but like if there's something happening and it makes you as the viewer be like, oh my god, what is happening? Like, what in the fuck? Like, I like a confused situation if it's not like pretentious, but that it's part of the reason why I really loved The Ring. And because as you're watching that tape, you're like, what is this? I am so confused. Like, there's something about the confusion, I think, that makes it things scary for me. So like you're like, it's like this disconnected thing with him talking, and you're just like, what is happening? Like, I
Yeah.
really liked that scene, but it
I
resolved itself by the end. It wasn't random. It was like,
Yeah, it was so cool when that he was seeing the future a little bit into the future of what was going to happen. I also liked that that guy turned out to be a good friend. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it wasn't just like all of his friends were just shit and trying to kill him and shut him up. Like that friend, because I thought that was a cool character, ended up, you know, really looking out for him and being a stand-up human being, and I liked that.
me too. It was all very like kind of gray. Like, it was like obviously what those boys did were wrong, was wrong. But then you drag the parents into it, right? And you're like, oh, the and the dad is down there. He's down there in the after he makes the discovery of the body, and he's telling the dad, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I know what happened with your son or whatever. And he's like, what were we supposed to do? And then it clicks. You go, oh shit, they
Yeah.
were involved. The kids went to the parents, which again, I just thought was so like such a normal thing for a kid to do. And he's like, what were we supposed to do? It was an accident. We didn't want to, like, I don't remember what he says, but he's like, essentially, we don't want to ruin their lives over an accident. So
Oh, yes, we do. If they're rapers.
yeah,
So the
yeah,
one kid that accidentally killed her, is he, like what was
strangled
he
her with the
what was he thinking was going to happen with the plastic bag over her head? You know what I mean? But the one guy who was really egging it on and who tried to rape her, bye-bye. You need to be
Yeah.
in prison forever. You're like not a good human being, period.
Yeah. And to clarify,
Gross.
kind of totally, totally gross. And just to clarify there, I'm not saying if I were a parent, I would absolutely go to the authorities. But you could see in real life how some parent out there in the world, because they do, will cover for their kids because they also panic. They're like, oh, well, I don't want this to ruin the rest of your life. And I'm not saying that's what you should do by
No,
any means, but
100%, dude.
you can be like, oh, I could see how all of that happened. It just, I don't, for some reason, this movie felt very like modern in some ways. Like it just
Yeah.
felt very like, I don't know. I dug it. It was good.
Yeah, I don't think that you were saying that parents should do that. Not at all. I was just saying in general, if you're like
Yeah.
creepy, gross kid, you should go to jail. I hope I never, ever, ever have to test this theory ever. But if one of my kids, no, if one of my kids accidentally, they said they accidentally killed somebody, I wouldn't cover it up. I would report it. But
I
but
wouldn't either.
I see what you're saying. It it's your kid, and depending on the circumstances, you know what I mean? The idea isn't totally unbelievable, is what I'm trying to
Right.
say. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I mean by I
Yeah.
say when I said gray area, I didn't mean like I don't know, like sometimes it's not murder. Like that's not what I meant. I just meant like
Sometimes you gotta hide the body.
very flippant. No. But yeah, you can't you buy like there are parents out there in the world who would do this for their kid.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
you feel bad for him because you know he's like it's eating him up. He even says like I've been this has been eating me up for like 6 months, which it totally would. It's like
Hmm.
yeah, I liked it.
And that
It
other
all
kid killed
wrapped up.
himself over it.
Or yeah, or tried to.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
he
think we ever
tried
got
to.
the.
You're right. He
I don't.
was
Yeah, they said
in
that
the
he was like
hospital.
in critical condition or something,
Yeah.
but I don't think we ever came
Sorry.
back to it in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then those other two jerks, the kid, the worst, you know, like seeming more of sound mind, seemingly the one who tries to like rape her, and his dad, just totally terrible people. They're like, oh, you know
Sick.
what? Let's just go ahead. Let's keep it going. Let's just murder some more people. I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
okay,
I was
you're just gonna double down here, huh? Okay.
dude, I was just like so pissed off that kid came in. But that I guess is good acting. When you loathe a character, that's good acting. That kid came in and he shut his door and he's looking all tough. I was like, you mother, like I was so pissed. And then the dad, like Kevin Bacon was saying, oh, the water leak and blah blah blah. And then that guy walks up like he thinks he's so tough, that piece of
I
shit
know.
prick. And he's like, the water doesn't run under the house. No shit. He just wants you out of there, you dumb prick. You're not pulling anything over his head. You are not the upper hand right here. You piece of trash. I'm obviously getting all riled up over these characters. So it's
I
good.
know.
It was good acting, but I'm glad they got theirs.
Me too. I was so glad that
But
guy came
yeah,
in the end.
okay, so we did this. So that how many people are you gonna murder to cover this shit up? You're just gonna keep going. He tells his son. What did he tell his son? Uh, it was something. It was like he was preparing him. Shoot, I don't remember. It was when he was about to shoot him, and he was like, "Get over here," and he was like almost
Yeah.
initiating him, and like, this is how you handle business. There was kind of a moment of that with him and his son where he's like, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, like I don't remember. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly specifics, but it was like he's like enrolling him into like we're in this together now and like
Yeah.
we're going to have to cover our tracks no matter how long it goes on. Like I was just like, ugh.
I'm so glad she pulled his hair, because at first you're thinking, how is he going to explain this? He
Me
looks
too.
like a lunatic. He destroyed the entire house. He finds a body. Like, what is he gonna do? But she had the hair in her hands. I was like, yes.
In fact, that's how I thought the guy was going to come back in who already knew about this, like, third, I don't know what to call it, like this, psychic ability because he was a member of like some sort of police force. He might have been the police source himself. But I kept thinking, oh shit, that's how that guy's gonna come back in. He's gonna go to that guy and be like, I did not kill this girl, but I sensed that she was in my house and I found her body. And I thought that guy was gonna like lead the charge on the police side of things. Cause I was like, oh no, he's gonna get pinned for this murder. Cause that's like just where my mind goes constantly is like, they don't have any other suspects. They're gonna think this guy did it. Um, and so I was kind of disappointed that didn't happen, but the hair resolved that. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh man. I love how she guided him to like how she turned off the light so he would go down there, how she made the hose not have water so he would go down into the basement in the first place, how he was having this intuitive experience of her to, you know what, I need to, it wasn't necessarily the cement, but he was like, she's in the basement. It's a lot of how
Yeah.
it was so realistic because that's how intuition, and if you believe in like getting messages from the universe, the divine, or whatever, that's a lot of how intuition affects us is we have an idea, but we're not exactly sure what. So he knew, oh, wait a second, she's in the basement. And he thinks because she said dig that she's probably under the concrete, you know, but she was in the wall and she's probably sitting there going, oh my God, it's right behind you. I'm right behind you.
And even still, he's like down there, like digging and stuff, and he accidentally hits the thing behind him. Like, I liked that too, that it wasn't so on the
Yeah.
nose. Like, it's like dig, and then, you know, you dig it up and you find her body. Like, that would have been very, like, exactly what would have you thought would have happened. But I
Yeah.
liked that it was a little different. And he just happens to, like, hit the thing and realize, oh shit, there's a bunch of loose, like, bricks over here, and starts pulling them out. And I'm like, oh no, she's in there. You know, that's as soon as
So
you
good.
know. Yeah, it was very good. So let's see. Let me read through some of my tidbits here. My dog is snoring over here. I hope you can't hear it.
Oh, I did just then. I didn't
She's very
until
loud.
just then.
I pointed it out. Well, hopefully we can edit some of that out. Okay. I liked this one a lot. In the hypnotism flashback scene, there's a scene of a safety pin being stuck through Tom's hand. This was not a special effect. A stuntman was paid to come in and have a safety pin pushed through his hand for the scene.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I
Can
do.
you?
That's gross. I can say this. I'm glad you brought that up. I do think, and I don't know if this is a real thing, I think that it's terrible bullshit to damage someone's body when they're under hypnosis. Because she kept talking about how, yeah, they stuck a pen in the guy's arm and he didn't feel it, or they stuck a knife in the guy's leg and he didn't feel it. I've seen it myself. Why are you and this probably doesn't matter. It's just, I know, but if you are allowing someone to put you under hypnosis to do the little show or whatever, then you have them damage their body. It really bothered me. I was so
Yeah.
like, that is wrong. I hope people don't really do that.
Yeah, that seemed a little maybe over the top, you know, for the, oh Jesus, you hear this dog? For the sake of the movie. You know, like it was just like a little too much. But I as I watched that scene, I was like, that looks shockingly real. And how did they do it? Like I kept thinking like they must have, you know, I was thinking they must have built something or whatever. Nope, they actually pushed that safety pin through somebody's hand. I
That's
was
a
ugh.
great tidbit. Yeah, it looked so real. I turned away. Like I couldn't watch it. Did they really
Yeah, it
rip
was
someone's nails off?
that I
Just
don't think
joking.
so.
I'm just
I
kidding.
didn't
That's disgusting.
I didn't read anything about it on IMDb, so probably not. But little just side fun fact in my life, in like high school, my best friend at the time, Cassie, we were like at a party. Maybe this is in middle school. I don't know. We were at a party and she had somebody do that with a safety pin and had it like pierced because she wanted to like have a piercing there, which by the way is the worst place to have a piercing because it just gets infected because you're like touching a bunch of stuff and it, you know, so she eventually had to take it out. But like straight up had a guy shove a safety pin through her webbing right here.
What other facts do you have about this movie?
Okay, let's see. In the scene where Tom gets angry after digging, he kicks the bucket and it breaks that window. It says this was a happy accident and it was used in the film because he stayed in character and continued the scene. And I was sort of like, they are just damaging this place. And so it was funny that it was an accident.
That's so funny that you say that. I thought it looked so real. When he kicked it, it went flying and then he just kept going. I thought to myself, oh, I wonder if I thought, was that supposed to happen? Or did that that's just like a happy accident? I thought that exact thing. Yeah, it was good. I know. And I was like, now the window, my God, they're destroying this house.
Also very concerned about the house for some reason. I was like, he's like digging up when he dug up the like floorboards, I was like, oh no, like I don't know, it just was like gave me anxiety.
Why are you doing that if you're down there like pickaxing the cement? Why did you go upstairs and decide to, unless if you think about it, the body was maybe he just had a feeling. Maybe she said to do it here, because if you think about it, that was like that room and then you went and down. So maybe the body was kind of under there within those bricks.
Yeah.
But you couldn't get to it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. So let's see what else. I thought this was funny. When they were setting up the scene where Maggie leaves Jake at her relative's house towards the end of the movie, it was realized that they had gone over the number of hours the child actor could work for the boy. So crew members had to run from house to house in the neighborhood they were filming in to find a child who looked enough like him to appear as a background character. And they had to like give him a quick haircut to be able to complete the shot, which is like super quick thinking. You know what I mean? Like to just grab another kid and be like, hey, do you mind if we use your kid? Like, we'll pay you, do a haircut.
That is so cool. I love that. So when he was on the stairs with his aunt?
You know, I don't know, and I'm kind of curious about this too. I didn't end up doing the research until too long after, and I wasn't able to go back and watch like because I did like a 48-hour rental, but I wish I would have done it sooner so I could have gone back and looked, because I don't know exactly when they're talking about. Because I also feel like I saw his face.
You know what? Unless because you know how they record things out of sequence. Maybe it was a scene when all the people are milling around at the funeral, like after the funeral. Maybe a little boy is in there, because that scene when he is on the stairs is pretty legit from what I remember, because he says about the feathers makes him scared. The feathers do. Remember? And she was like, okay, and she left. He hands her her purse, and then she leaves. So it definitely was the kid.
Yeah, that felt so. Yeah, I don't know exactly when that was, but yeah,
the feathers. That's great.
The feathers.
Not that she would have brought him there and put him to bed, of course, but he kind of saw that he would be in danger, maybe.
Well, yeah, I took it as like, if something had just happened a little differently, he would have been laying there with his head on the pillow. So like,
yeah, maybe he would have ran out upstairs and hid under the covers in his bed.
Maybe like, the person who passed away might have been a different day. Then they, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like one of those weird butterfly effect type situations. Like I was like,
yeah,
oh geez, if he had been there laying down in that bed, which he probably would have been on any regular night, he would have been shot. So I liked that part too, and I'd forgotten about that until just now when you said it. And it was an interesting link to have them both sort of have that like psychic ability.
Yeah.
And I like that she left him behind. He was like, I don't want to go. She's like, all right. Like, they were just so like pretty reasonable all the time, I liked that.
Yeah. Well, no, they thought about it a little bit, remember? Because he was like, do you really want me to go? And she's like, yeah, I really want you to go. Remember, she got in a big fight with him about it, and then they kind of cooled off. This whole time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I hope she doesn't lose this baby. She's pregnant and under so much stress, and she's running everywhere, and she's moving things, and she's fighting, and gosh.
I forgot about the baby entirely until just now when you said that. I forgot, because they said something about it in the very beginning, and it just never comes back up.
Never comes up again. I know. I kept worrying that she was going to lose it. Like that was going to be a part of it somehow, but she didn't. So as far as we know.
Interesting. That is weird how that kind of just like went away and we just never.
Yeah, why even make her pregnant? Oh, I know why. Because she was I think they were trying to establish that was her sister, right? Not her friend. I thought that was her sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, that her sister has psychic ability. Because remember, she goes, "You're gonna have a baby," and he's like, "You told her before me," and she's like, "She's a witch or she's a psychic." She said one of those things. She knew by looking at me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess that could, and I guess it also kind of establishes like that he wants to. It sets up a thing where it's like he wants to be more of a, I don't know what to call it, like a
something.
more established presence in their family or something, you know, like he wants to do something about it. And I feel like it kind of spurs a little bit of that, which then turns
Yes.
into later when he's like, oh, I have the psychic ability. I have to do something important with this. So I guess it kind of serves a purpose in that
No,
way.
you're totally right because he says he's giving up being in a band, right? Because he has to work. Then he has to take up another shift at work so that he could pay for the baby, which makes him feel even more like, what am I doing with my life? Not, I mean, yes, I have a wife and children and I love them, but me personally, I felt like I would be something more. I would be doing more job wise in my life
Yeah.
and for my family. So you're right. That made him really plummet down even deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And total side note, but I just remembered this. Do you have, because I was very confused about this and I thought I would find something about it in my research, but I did not. I was like so confused about the orange juice thing. Do you have any sort of,
Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm not
I
sure
just was like, weird.
why orange juice. I do know this though. When you are, they say when you're using your psychic abilities, when you are channeling spirits, anything like that, where you are going into that spirit realm or psychic realm, you have to drink a lot of water. You get very thirsty. You have to hydrate your body. It helps you get even more in touch. It's like it's exerting on your body, and you're supposed to drink a lot of water, like in real life. That's what you're supposed to do when
Okay.
you do that. So maybe, but I don't know why orange juice specifically. Yeah, because he had all those cartons of orange juice, and they never said like that girl liked orange juice or anything like that.
Yeah. I felt like I was missing some like piece of information there where I was like, is this supposed to be something that I just know? But it felt weird in a movie that sort of explains everything else. You know what I mean? Like, and then there's this like
Yeah.
just one thing that I was like, huh? Like,
Well, I
I
just
don't
know
know.
that I mentioned that to the kids. They're like, "Why is he drinking so
Okay.
much?" And I go, "Well, when you um like communicate with spirits or doing any type of psychic work, you have to drink a lot of water, so maybe that's why." I don't remember, did we have bottled water back in the 90s? Like maybe because he
I
did
think
drink
so.
out of the faucet and then was drinking milk and orange juice. Maybe he just really
It
likes
was
orange
like,
juice.
yeah, maybe.
No, but you're right. I totally even forgot about that because they didn't really say anything about it in
Yeah, it
this
never came
movie.
back up. Anyway, random. But I thought you might know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I have like three more things. One, the scene where Maggie's sitting in the car at the end in the rain was shot on a night when it was actually raining very heavily, but the rain did not look real on film. The crew had to set up an awning to cover the car from the rain and then rig up like fake rain to achieve like a rain look that
Nice.
they wanted, which again I thought was just an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, what they would do, like, we want it to be raining and it doesn't look like it's raining enough. I love those tidbits of like what they do when they're making movies.
Because you think like, oh great, it's actually raining, but nah, they have to undo the rain and then redo it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can I say something? The one thing. What a horrible, horrible, horrible suggestion for someone who's hypnotizing someone to say, open your mind to everything and anything. What the actual fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, why would you say that? Be be more open-minded to blah blah blah. Be open, like an open door. Dude, I would have punched that chick in the face. Like, even if I didn't believe in that stuff, I'd be like, why of all things would you say that? Be like an open door for everything. What a
I
horrible
know.
thing to say.
It's like, could you be? maybe less specific and also at the same time more specific about what you're trying to accomplish? Could you
Yeah,
be?
when you're working with the spirit realm, you have to be very specific. If you think about like even with this is a side random, but Aladdin with the wishes, right? You have to be very specific with what the wish is going to be, or anything can come of that, right? It can be interpreted in any way that they wanted. I don't know why Aladdin and his wishes came to
Dude,
my mind, but
because I swear to God, Felicia, we have a psychic link, okay?
I
We
think
we
so.
have our open door. Literally, we just were watching Aladdin right before we came and recorded this, the
See,
live action Aladdin. And we didn't finish it. We like stopped halfway through, but it was like they got to that section about him being specific about the wishes, and I was like, it did make me think of this. Like,
dude. So no joke, we do have a psychic connection. Because so weird. I just thought of Aladdin for some reason. That's why, because it was there. So it's just like Aladdin, guys.
just
You
like just like it.
just like well, you have to be specific, and to say that, to be open to anything and everything. Like, anyways,
Yeah, and like, what is she actually trying to get at? I feel like, okay, again, this is like I'm being very nitpicky here, but like I just feel like what are you saying that he's not open-minded to? I don't feel like he's like not an open-minded person. I felt like there was like, it just was weird. It like, and
yeah,
yes, we need that to be the setup for him to like then
yeah.
have all this stuff happen, but it just was like, yeah, like, and be more open-minded about having a kid, like
Be
other
more
job
open-minded to like
opportunities.
psychic stuff. Why? Why do you
Why?
care
Yeah,
so
like,
much that he's open-minded about it? Like, what that?
it just was weird. But anyway,
I just
okay.
had to say that. What a horrible, horrible suggestion.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Anybody out there doing hypnosis on people, don't say that.
Take a note from Stir of Echoes, okay? This is the hypnosis Bible. Don't do it, is basically what it comes
Yes.
down to. Um, okay. It says a lot of people on blogs have wondered how the creep walk was filmed, where you see her like walking up to him. This is like one of those jerky movement, you know, like
Yes, in
scenes
the
again.
house when she's
Yeah.
yes, yes. I remember that.
And this says, here's the secret: the speed of the camera was sped up, and the actress was told to walk. I, yeah, it's written weird. I think they meant to say was told to walk slowly, but to appear as naturally as possible. Then, when it was time to edit the scene in, they played the footage at normal speed, and all the imperfections in the walk added to the like weird beauty. And that's how I thought too. As soon as I saw it, I was like, they must have shot this much slower and then sped it up and had her try to take steps in the way that it would look like it's the right timing, but it's jittery because she's,
Yeah, it was
you
so
know,
cool. I Me personally, I'm really freaked out by that like weird tweaky jittery movement. They have that a lot in horror films when it's like it's creepy and fast, little flickers of things. That stuff. Ugh.
I liked this one though because it wasn't like overdone. Like I feel like now it happens constantly and it's like it's way over the top. This one to me felt just like kind of, it just was like not natural. Like you were watching it and you were like, this is not how, it just felt off, but
Yeah,
it didn't feel like way over the top crazy, So I kind of liked that it was like a little toned down from the other ones.
I agree.
Um,
I agree with that. I love that part.
yeah. And then last one says Kevin Bacon plucks around on the guitar in the film, but in real life is actually a skilled guitarist, along with his brother Michael. The Bacon brothers have released over a half dozen albums, some to acclaim, and occasionally tour and or play live in support of these endeavors, which I had no idea. I thought that
That's
was very interesting.
cool. I didn't know that either. Wow. The Bacon Brothers.
And then the other thing that I came across, I did put a note down on this, but I thought it was an interesting thing. When I went and read like just comments of people talking about this movie, I didn't realize this, but this movie came out, I think, a month or 2 months or something right after The Sixth Sense. So this movie got way overshadowed by The Sixth Sense, even though people like, I feel like generally just humans, I don't know about like the critical acclaim, but I feel like people, when they talk about this movie, the general reception is good. Like people liked this movie, but it just got crushed by The Sixth Sense, which kind of has a similar plot, like
Yeah.
just in the way that you've got somebody connecting to like dead people and having like kind of psychic abilities, and yeah.
The
So that
little
was kind of
boy
unfortunate.
that sees and talks to dead people, and, the adult man. Yeah. Oh, wow. It would be totally overshadowed. I didn't even know. I've never even heard of this movie until it was, Kara mentioned it. I never even heard of it. Oh, how about the end? I felt so bad for the little boy with all the everything he could hear in his head. They were driving down the
Oh
street
yeah.
and every house he passed. I was curious about something about that. I didn't I assumed it was spirits, but I wasn't clear if he was hearing the spirits that were in all those houses, or he could hear, like he had this super hearing and he could hear the people within all of those houses. I wasn't clear on that.
I think it could have been either, because I don't know, when his dad comes home and he's like, oh, don't be afraid of it, daddy. Like it almost seems like he can pick up on other people's thoughts. And so
Hmm.
I think it was kind of open ended. It could
It
have
could
been
have been
either.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like how it kind of left that, because it was like, okay, great. It felt very like neat and tied up in a bow a little bit. Like it was like, okay, great. Like we kind of solved this thing. And obviously it's terrible what happened to this girl, but like we solved it. We know who they are. We told the cops, like, okay, great. And it was like all wrapped up in a little bow. And then it was like, oh yeah, but also this family is never going to be the same, and they're like always going to have to deal with this, especially the little boy who's being able to hear all of these voices from these houses. I kind of liked that they left that little tiny bit in.
Yeah. I really liked that part too. I felt so bad for him. That's heavy. Would you want to be able to hear and speak to spirits?
No, absolutely not.
Not me, just in case anyone's around. Maybe we could
If
talk
you're
to these
listening,
ladies. No. No.
I mean, if you need super extra help or something, maybe, and don't hurt me, I am, or scare me.
Please don't give me those dreams. Like just legit
Not.
just appear and not like around a corner or anything, like maybe I'm looking at something and all of a sudden it starts to appear gradually so it's not a shock, and then just tell me, "Hey, this happened. I really need you to."
Exactly.
Then I'm
Just
open
level with
to
me.
it. Yeah.
I'll help you find whatever thing happened to you, maybe, if I don't get nailed for your murder, because like that would suck. I
Yeah,
do not want to be,
exactly.
yeah, nailed for that. But I just was like, no, it would suck. It would be terrible. And it's like constantly having to like talk to people who feel like they have unfinished business, and it just seems very scary and bad.
And heavy, yeah. This is really
Heavy.
straightforward and you could have hours, you know,
Yeah.
business
Office
hours.
hours.
They just come in and they sit there and they're, and you take the notes. You're like, oh, right. I'll get the authorities
Got it.
involved. I hand it to the authorities. They can find the stuff.
Yeah. Um
Anyways.
The other thing that I wanted to note on this movie is that it reminded me of another Kara movie that I watched um, years ago that she told me about. And maybe we should add this to the list. I don't know if it would be considered a horror. I consider it a horror. This is one of the most horrific movies I've ever seen in my life, but it's called The Hole. And I would be shocked if you have seen it, because it's very like, it's not very
I haven't.
well known. Okay, it's got Natalie Portman in it though, which is shocking. And
Ooh, I love her.
I don't know if you ever watched Dexter, but there's like
I love Dexter. I've watched all of
Quinn.
Dexter. Yes.
So the guy who plays Quinn is also in this movie. And it's like, I can't remember when it was made, probably early 2000s or something. But it is very good, but it is so dark and terrible. It's like one of those movies that left me feeling deeply disturbed for like days, if not weeks afterwards. But it is good. And so, for some reason, this movie felt like that movie. So I'm sure Kara, like me, with my obsession with getting locked in tight spaces, has uh leans towards movies that like have the same feeling. That's like, it's like deep, it's like dark, and it's like a real story, even though in this movie there are like psychic elements to it. It's like there is a real thing that happened instead of it just being psychic or whatever.
Mm,
Anyway, just noting that because I kept meaning to put it on our list, but I didn't.
I added it.
Okay,
The
thank you.
whole. I also added The Ring because I don't think I've seen that.
You have not seen The Ring?
I don't think I have. Because
Okay.
I was watching trailers yesterday. After the movie, I was watching trailers, or when I watched the movie, and I like remember it being a big thing, and I thought I had seen it because I recognized the little girl that comes out of the TV, but that's like everywhere.
Yeah.
It like, and so when I was watching and listening to the storyline, I'm like, wait a second, I don't think I knew there was this video, and if you see it, you die, right? Or if you see, I don't even know, so I don't think I've seen it.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. This is a great one. I like The Ring a lot. I feel like it
Or The
holds up.
Grudge. I haven't seen that either.
Oh god, I love The Grudge. They're
Yeah.
both so good. I have not though. This is like also blasphemy. I have not seen. I don't think the originals. I think I've seen because Ju-on is the original, The Grudge. I think it's a Japanese film, and so then they remade it. Same thing with The Ring. Is there's Ringu, I think, and I don't think I've seen either of those originals, or maybe I've seen Ju-on. Maybe I don't remember. I'd have to look at them again, but the remakes I feel like are good. Both of them. They're very scary. I went to go see The Grudge, I think like 4 times in theaters when it first came out. It was so good. And I own it. I have it on DVD. That's how much I like it.
Oh, wow.
I only have like 5 DVDs, dude. And it's like The Grudge, Pink Floyd's The Wall, The Strangers, and Inglourious Bastards. I can't remember what the last one is.
Those are good ones. Those are really good ones.
I only saved the ones I loved. So what do you think you'd give this rating wise?
Okay. So
we keep forgetting to talk about this.
Yeah. We just throw ratings in the description. So here's the rating. So we haven't talked about the ratings, and I was really struggling with it because I was thinking 5 out of 5. I have a movie in my head that would be a 5 out of 5. Well, I'm not going to tell anybody because it scared me, and it scares me every time I watch it. Ultimate scary. But then I was thinking there are some movies that maybe didn't absolutely terrify me, but I think is a stellar movie that I would give a 5 out of 5. So then I started to question myself. Everyone can see now that I am a way overthinker. Because then I'm like, oh my gosh, my rating. But I really feel like giving this movie a 5 out of 5. But it didn't terrify me like I was thinking. It didn't terrify me, but I loved the story. I loved how it was done. I was so interested the whole time. I love how it ended. I really, really liked this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I'm struggling between a 3 and a 4 for me.
Okay.
And I feel like the only reason why I would give it a 3 is maybe just because not having watched it until now as an adult, I can see it being like sort of forgettable in the way that like 2 years from now, am I going to remember? Which is why the only reason I would give it like a 3, because like the 4 out of 5 for me are movies that I'm like, I really fucking loved them. And I think you were just saying this, like I hold that 5 out of 5 in like very high regard. Like I think I'm going to try to just keep those to the ones that I feel like are excellent.
Yeah.
And then like, I loved The Descent so much. I'm going to give that one a 4 out of 5. So for that reason, I am going to go with like a 3 out of 5 for this one. I really liked it. I don't really have any qualms.
See,
I don't see myself like rewatching it over and over again. Whereas I could watch.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, I don't see myself rewatching this movie a bunch, but I could do The Descent all day long. Or As Above, So Below. Like I could just watch those, and those I give 4s. So
what did I give The Descent? What did I give The Descent?
I think you gave it a 4. Let me look.
Okay. I am going. Okay, I take back my rating. This is not like that pizza guy where you give a rating and you can't take it back. He stamps it. I don't know. My husband watches this guy that goes around and tries pizza. And with celebrities, they're like, he'll meet someone and they have one bite of pizza and they have to rate it. And they give their rating and he's like, he can't go back. Anyways, check it out. Okay, give it a 4 out of 5 then with that explanation, because I agree with that. Definitely not a 3, because I give As Above, So Below a 3, I believe. And I liked it more than that movie.
Okay.
So I do a 4 out of 5.
You do have to kind of, do them against each other, I feel like, for the rating scale to, work. Yeah, you did give As Above, So Below 3. But we don't know about The Descent, actually, because we haven't talked about it for the rating.
We haven't talked about
The Descent? Because that's the one up next, right? That we still have to, edit. So we haven't even,
This is so... You're right. You're totally right. So, but we would have, but we haven't.
Right.
This is like a parallel universe sort of thing with... Yes. When people listen to this episode, they'll know. But yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's your final answer. 4 out of 5.
I would say a 4 out of 5. Yeah, I really like the story. It felt very much like, you just mentioned it, the other movie that it was up against at the same time.
The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. It felt very much like that to me, not like a horror movie. And I don't think of Sixth Sense as a horror movie.
Okay.
But maybe it is. So yeah, it was really hard to hold up. It didn't terrify me. Yeah, there was a few moments, but it did not scare me, but it was such a good story. So
definitely
4 out of 5.
Okay. All right. Kara, don't hate me for my 3 out of 5, right? I liked this movie a lot. I
liked it too.
I just think that's the thing is I don't see myself rewatching it or, The Sixth Sense scared the shit out of me. I watched that when I was a kid. I don't know who let me watch that movie. That was a mistake, but it scared me.
So I was, it came out in 2000, you said?
99.
99. So I was already, I was my first year of college when I saw The Sixth Sense. I loved that movie. I loved it. It didn't
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, it didn't terrify me though. It was just so good, such a good story. But yeah. Tawny. All right. So I gave Tawny 3 movies for next time. I gave her 3 movies to choose from.
Oh yeah. What were they again? Halloween.
Okay. So the movie was the original Halloween, because she has not seen that. So this time we are doing a movie I have seen that she hasn't. So it was Halloween, Antichrist, or Jacob's Ladder. You could choose any of them.
This is a toughie. I almost feel like I want to wait until Halloween to watch Halloween.
Oh my gosh, Tawny, that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so Halloween's off the table because we have a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. But Jacob's Ladder I saw when it came out. And so I have these very, when you just remember those few scenes in your head that are burned in your head, and I don't remember the whole everything that happened in the sequence. So I'll be excited to watch it again too.
Okay, cool. So final answer, Jacob's Ladder.
All right.
And yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this was so fun. Thank you, Kara, so much, because I loved this movie and my kids loved it too. All the teens loved it. And yeah, everyone was on board. They just didn't like the fingernail.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, connect with us on the Facebook group. It's so much fun. We post in there a lot. We have some cool people in there, and we absolutely love connecting with you. Thank you for the people who are watching us on YouTube and commenting. We nerd out over this stuff. I will literally forward it to Tawny and go, someone commented. We get so excited. We're so appreciative that people want to engage in this conversation with us because we love it so much. So definitely you can find us on Instagram. You can find us in our Facebook group. You could find us on Facebook and on our website too. And email twochicksandahorrorflick@gmail.com.
Yay.
Yay.
We really need to figure out some sort of wrap up thing.
Yeah, we do. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.